Hi, I'm Sandrine Tremblay, Colestat and Chrome President, and I'm here today with Drago, Director of Sustainability at CAPREIT.
Well, welcome to our property today.
Thank you. So, Drago, how did the collaboration between Colestat and CAPREIT begin?
To make a long story short, it started initially with life cycle revitalization, mostly focused on energy efficiency to make, the operating cost less. And then that kind of evolved into a decarbonization roadmap, which right across all our properties in Canada to be a more sustainable company.
So more than a decade ago, we started projects that were more asset renewal, and now we're very focused on decarbonization for the entire portfolio. So Drago, what are the driving factors for those projects, those energy-saving projects?
Well, as we mentioned, it's very important that we are efficient with our utilities and it's not a wasteful of gas, electricity, or any other resources. The other issue as well is to be a good corporate citizen, CAPREIT wants to decarbonize all its assets and be a leader as we are in the real estate business.
And when you say leader in the real estate business, does those decarbonization effort helps you with your investors?
Yes, it's more and more, it's become that the investors really demand, ESG reporting, being good corporate citizens, and really think about the impact our properties have on Canadians, our residents, and the environment.
Yeah, CAPREIT is the leading REIT in Canada with the most property in portfolio.
Yes, and by being a good corporate citizen, what occurs is that other REITs and other organizations look to us because being the best, well, everyone else tries to copy.
Can you share a notable collaboration that drove the innovation for those projects?
The key was developing a roadmap. And pretty much we have a roadmap to 2030 on how to best impact our properties in a positive way, both in the sustainability and decarbonization.
Another notable, I think, example of innovation, that was the roadmap. And there was at one property that we've done in Quebec, we installed the first in Canada CO2 heat pump.
Yes. By utilizing innovation, there is no way to just take one project and just copy it over and over and over again. Every site is different, everyone is unique, and that's why by us working year over year together, we refine our processes that how we work and how we take care of our residents. We know how your designs are innovative and forward-leaning, but then how to merge those together to have least amount of impact on our residents, but have the most beneficial impact to the environment.
So we have that roadmap now to 2030, as you mentioned. How do you see we achieve that roadmap?
So I think the key of achieving the roadmap is that collaboration. It's very important that we're flexible and noticing. Let's identify the projects with the most impact and be able to tackle those first, while the more difficult design ones, we can do the design, phase the project out, and be able to achieve them maybe in year 3 or 4, while we're able to immediately benefit the actual projects that can yield the biggest result, both in GHG reduction and a rate of return, i.e. meaning we're going to lower our utility use. And the other challenge we have is, across Canada, every province has its own unique challenges. It has its own electricity grid and resources. So as we talked about, being that ability to be robust and ability to adapt, every province has a unique design solution and we just can't copy and paste.
And what's the advantage of having a team, a dedicated team, such as yourself within CAPREIT and our collaboration together to achieve that roadmap or to do all those projects?
Well, that's a great question. The key is, and I believe our peers do not have such a dedicated group of sustainability, because by us being focused on these renewable deep energy retrofits, we work close with our operations team to identify troubled systems that aren't efficient, deal with tenants' concerns about comfort and energy usage.
What is the impact on the tenants of those projects?
So this is why we have such a well-trained and organized group here at CAPREIT. The key is when we start executing these projects, there is impact. Your design might come in January, and we must complete it by the heating or cooling season the following year. By having that roadmap and planning, we can give the proper notice to the tenants, make sure that we start and complete the projects to have the minimum impact. And its big deal is also communication. If some part of the building has to be blocked off or some access has to be maintained, our well-trained group can work with the tenants while you work with your contractors and consultants and be able to work together. Over and over again, the key of any good project is communication. And the important part to bring here is that we're revitalizing the actual asset. It's making it more comfortable for the residents, it's better on the environment for the decarbonization, and it's also lowering our operating costs, which is key to make that we can reinvest those savings back to the company.
So an example of those tenant improvement is the St. Clair project. There was a cooling tower there with a lot of consumption of fresh water and a lot of injection of chemicals. Now we remove, and with new technology, we don't use those chemicals anymore. So that's an example of how tenants' environment improve with those projects.
And with that as well, Sandrine, it's very interesting by renewing the mechanical equipment, it lowers our operating cost, the time of our staff, and as well, it gives them more time to maintain the equipment and fine-tune it rather than always working on seasonal changes.
You mentioned seasonal changes. I think it's really important. One of the improvement that we see in those projects is the operating, more regularity, but also the resiliency. The new design for those systems, domestic hot water, fresh air, they need more resiliency for climate adaptation. And that is also treated in those projects.
Yes, and that's the part of that is that we have to, going back to the communication, by us doing these deep energy retrofit, we have to communicate that to our staff, our operating staff, our property managers, and our tenants so that they understand that what we're doing is really going to benefit them in the long run, and CAPREIT and our communities.
And we mentioned earlier the framework which we operate. So you mentioned the roadmap is for Canada. Is the project are all basically the same within the portfolio?
Not at all. So a lot of the decarbonization and retrofits are focused upon mechanical, but we're also including other items such as solar, potential geothermal, cladding programs, insulation, green roof. The way I have approached the sustainability department, it's a unity of effort that all our departments working with the sustainability, from asset renewal to property to management, everyone works together so that the projects are wholesome and full, and that when we're not going to do a project this year and then come back 2 years from now, we should have a plan to be able to execute an effective project. Going back to the tenant, because remember, our organization is people. So we want to have the least amount of impact on their day-to-day life, but have the most impact on their level of comfort.
So within Canada, like different properties have been touched, like what is the advantage of having all that team work together? Like you mentioned, asset renewal, operation, financial, and I speak from experience. I never seen any company has a more integrated approach with your finance, with all those departments really working together. How does it make a difference to attack such a portfolio through Canada to achieve decarbonization?
I think it's a matter of the commitment to leadership, the commitment to the direction from the board of directors to our staff, that this is an important priority that we engage with. A lot of organizations silo, especially national ones, so whatever's happening in Quebec, They don't know what's happening in BC. No one knows what's happening in Nova Scotia. So sometimes you'll get solutions that aren't integrated with our larger plan, such as having control systems, having central monitoring of utilities, to be able to look and see what is happening and why these anomalies happen. So by having this overarching management and leadership across the portfolio, it really gives us the opportunity to focus and execute our projects in a short amount of time with a maximum impact.
Let's say, for example, Alberta. Should we go there? Do you do some project in Alberta?
Yes, it is complicated since every different region has different assets. So in Quebec, obviously, electricity is very abundant. In Alberta, gas is very abundant. So using a solution in Quebec, in Alberta, might not have the results you might think, because the grid not being clean can actually add to carbon. So we have to be more dynamic in our designs and maybe start thinking of battery or solar to be able to offset the impact that the grid has on the environment. We are working with the local regional governments to hopefully that push them or motivate them to clean up their grid. And I think, being good corporate citizens, our goal is to make the property and the community have a good place to live, and by our leadership, the local, shall we say, governments will realize they have a part to play as well.
So by being the good cop, you are able to maybe or hopefully influence those governments in doing the best thing as well.
Yes, even though we can't tell them what to do, I think by being the corporate leader at CAPREIT we are, by leading by example, it's hard for our good work and our initiative and our effort to be ignored.
Well, thank you, Drago, and I want to mention the dedication from CAPREIT team to make those projects happen. Those deep energy retrofit projects are not easy to do, and they're different in every building. So their team was able to adapt and to follow and to keep their motivation throughout that process. Congratulations.
Thank you for all your work, Sandrine. It's been a real pleasure to work with you over the years, and I believe the relationship between CAPREIT and Chrome will continue to grow and develop as the more and more complicated projects come up. You got the easy ones out first, so now we're going to really focus in on the complicated ones that are going to be multi-phase, dynamic, and we're really going to work with our teams across the country so that we can really impact, and as corporate leaders, lead by example, show our competitors through our annual reporting that we are serious, we're dedicated, and we're going to achieve that roadmap.
Excellent. Thank you.